Welcome back to the Bear Trap on the Boomer Bust channel, a Bears podcast by a Bears fan. I'm your host, Terry, and today we're talking about what if we draft Tremaine Edmunds out of Virginia Tech. Similar to the last episode I did, really just taking a look at if we were to pick him, what that would mean. Again, not doing my own opinion on it or what we should do, more just bringing up the questions and starting the conversation. So, with that being said, if we pick Tremaine Edmunds at number 8, what would that landscape look like? Right now, our two main starters were Danny Trevathan and Jarrell Freeman. Jarrell Freeman, of course, has been released after suspensions and injury. He wasn't really available for us, so one of our big free agency gets is now gone. Then we also have Christian Jones, who filled in this year really well, did a lot of spot duty for us. He's going to be an unrestricted free agent, so possibly could be leaving the team. And so that leaves us with Danny Trevathan as one starter, our better linebacker. And then we got Nick Kwiatkowski coming back from injury. And then you got John Timu, who is a limited linebacker who is more of a run stopper. And Jonathan Anderson, who's been around for a while, more of a special teamer. Those would be the backups. So when we look at it, we got 4 linebackers for 2 positions. That's a pretty decent depth. But when we're talking about the talent level, we know that Danny himself is also not always available. And Nick is coming off injury. And Anderson and Timu are much deeper depth players, not people that you really want as your starters. So looking to add talent is definitely something you want to do. Christian Jones is somebody that a lot of people feel like should come back. And so bringing in Edmunds, he does bring in that depth. So for me personally, I believe Kwiatkowski and Edmunds would be able to battle for that starting spot next to Danny Trevathan. I don't think they would just hand it to him. And I think Nick Kwiatkowski played really well before getting hurt last year. And so Edmunds allows you to maybe let Christian Jones walk if you don't find a good deal, and he kind of provides that third linebacker depth for you. And then of course you got Timu and Anderson as another layer. But even if you want to bring Christian Jones back and have Edmunds, then that allows you to maybe let Timu and Anderson go or keep one of them for special teams and maneuvers. So bringing him in would give you some more flexibility, and it would definitely give you more confidence in 2 linebackers who've had injury issues that you got the depth to replace them should something happen. And so that does bolster up a front 7 that was probably the best part of the defense and adds more athleticism and speed to it. So that's kind of the landscape, but what are the arguments for and against bringing in Edmunds? So I would say when you're talking about bringing him in, the number one thing you'll probably hear is that he has position versatility. You're talking about a guy that's 6'5", 250, kind of like an Urlacher build, but projects as a stack backer, but also has some ability to rush on the edge. So as we said, 6'5", the guy's long, got long enough arms to play on the edge and incredible explosion that'll help him rush the passer. We don't have that guy opposite Leonard Floyd. And if we're talking about taking him at 8, we're assuming that, we're not looking at the other picks. We're assuming there's no other place or other person in place across from Leonard Floyd. This would be a person that could probably help you with that. So if you were to get a more veteran or more run stuffer outside linebacker on third downs, you could bring Edmunds out to the edge and have him rush the passer. So it helps in a couple ways where you can have him on first and second down the middle and then outside on third, or say Nick Kwiatkowski beats him out. And instead of having him on the bench, you bring him in on third down as a situational pass rusher before he is able, or until he's able to start. So pretty much Trevathan's about to be 28. You could have Edmunds come in and be a situational rusher until it's time to take over for Danny Trevathan, or it gives you some flexibility that way. But people might think you upgrade 2 positions with 1. A guy that can give you some juice at both positions, it could be pretty valuable. The second thing you'll probably hear is that he's a rare talent for what he is. And what he is a 19-year-old going into the draft. A guy that's graduating early or was in college early. When you saw him making a lot of those plays, he was a teenager. And so a lot of people are intrigued by that. The first time since we had Okoye from Louisville who came out at 19 years old. And he did okay, but again, we talk about potential and projections with the NFL draft. And so looking at a kid with some high-level athleticism, also with a 19-year-old, young, fresh body, that's going to pique a lot of interest as you got a guy that can have a lot of potential over the years to come and is really scratching the surface of him being his best linebacker. So that is always going to intrigue people. And he is explosive downhill. I do think his hips are a little stiff. He's not a Miles Jack type athlete like some people want to say, but 6'5", 250, the ability to run like the way he does in a straight line, that's going to be very attractive for people. And so another thing people will say is, well, we lost Freeman and we might be losing Christian Jones. The linebacking core is not what it was last year. And to an extent, that's true. So you definitely have Kwiatkowski, who you hope to be healthy and can be a starter. And then a lot of people really feel like you got to bring Christian Jones back. But let's say you don't bring Christian Jones back. You're talking about a team that, while you got depth at linebacker, we had one of the worst injury bugs in the league. So that might make us a little trigger happy and a little scared going into the year with guys that are a little injury prone. And so some people say, despite having starters or, people that can be starters, we need to add more youth athleticism and more depth to that group. And bringing in Edmunds kind of helps doing that. So those are kind of four. Now, the people that will argue against bringing in Edmunds, one of the things, probably the first thing you'll hear is that he might not be the best linebacker in the first round. A lot of people feel like Roquan Smith from Georgia is a better prospect. And overall, as a linebacker, he might be. He might be more complete. He definitely is probably every bit as athletic as Edmunds, but he doesn't have the same size. And so that depends on people. 6'1", pretty good for a linebacker. 225, that's pretty light, but linebackers getting lighter and lighter as they try to make them faster and faster. And Roquan tackles very well. He plays tough. He doesn't play like a converted linebacker. He plays like an actual linebacker. He can cover. He can hit. So he can do a lot of things. And some fans will say, he's better than Edmunds. Why should we take Edmunds? If we're going to take any linebacker at 8, we'll just take Roquan Smith. And so that's a real question that you would definitely have to answer. And then, of course, the number one thing probably people might bring up is that we got bigger holes at other places. Even if we're losing some depth, our front seven was the best part of the defense, and our defense did very well. Why will we upgrade and put frosting on the cake when we can go add pieces at other places, especially with our secondary so depleted and our receiving core depleted? So bringing in anybody is always going to ask the question, well, we might miss out on him or him, but we're talking about positional value. Is the linebacker position the right move for us when we got such big holes in other places? All right, so those are the main things I think people will bring up, and we're talking about Edmunds as a prospect. I would love to hear what you guys think in the comments section. Do you think 8 is too high? I know a lot of people will go to comments and say trade back, but we're talking about at 8, picking Edmunds at 8. If that was to happen, is that too high for you? Would you rather just go for somebody else? Or do you think Roquan Smith is a better option? Or do you think we shouldn't even go linebacker at all? Go to the comment section. Definitely let me know. Also remember, boomerbustmail@gmail.com. You can give me questions, feedback, let me know things you might want to talk about, and I'll put those into consideration. So go to the comment section, tell me what you think. Thumbs up, subscribe, share it around. Let's get that conversation started. And remember, stay up and bear down.